Hey yo, hey, hey, baby, I'm ready, oh, hey yo, hey, hey, baby, I'm ready, oh, hey yo, hey, yo.
This is the last seen chart of Rebecca Kate Plentywounds. Rebecca Plentywounds was a 32-year-old daughter, sister, mother of 7. Rebecca Kate was loved by her family and by the people who knew her. Rebecca was born October 18th of 1985. I do need to give a trigger warning. This case is intense. You will not find Rebecca's case in very many places, unfortunately. You will not find her on missing sites. You will not find Rebecca on national news. You will find just a couple articles about her that aren't even completely accurate. Rebecca's head and a portion of her leg were found by her mother on her mother's property. The family has not received any new information on Rebecca since 2018. The last her family was told that this was a suicide. I'm sure you don't need me to tell you that this chart does not indicate whatsoever that this is a suicide. To start off, what we always look at is the ascendant for the victim, and we look at the descendant for the perpetrator. For Rebecca, we look to Scorpio, and Scorpio, I'm going to read from the book, can give short stature, yet a big-limbed, full, and well-set body, strong and active, willful, can be malicious, brown hair, dark, sallow complexion, quick in motion of body, but reserved thoughts, piercing eyes, and an intensity in the presence of this person. They can hold deep internal grudges, look to prior relationship, ex-boyfriend or girlfriend, jealousy, and passion murder. Scorpio is sturdy and has wide shoulders. The general impression gives an overall air of charisma, power, secrecy, and seriousness. Well-built and resistant. The face can be square with clear-cut features. They have a distinct way of dressing. They dress how they want and wear clothes with style. You should not expect to find a scruffy scorpion. I'm reading all of these to you this time so you can see with this chart and with future charts how closely these descriptions match. Maybe not 100%, but enough to be able to identify the person you are talking about. If we look to the perpetrator, we're going to look at Taurus, and I'm going to read from the book again. Taurus are born of a short and thick stature, big, broad men, bearded men, high forehead, wide nose, wide, short neck, dark, ruddy color, short arms, thick hands, thick black hair, short legs, slow to anger, but if angered, very hard to please again. There's some stuff here about females. You can read that if you want, but I believe that the suspect is a male. If Taurus is on the 7th house cusp, which it is, one can assume the suspect's anger was over a long period and there may have been pent-up rage. Quite often leads to strangulation. Dark and quick eyes, the lower lip bigger than the upper, a neat, well-composed, and well-ordered body, can be mean stature, affable, courteous, usually outwardly happy. The ruler of Taurus is Venus, which is here. The ruler of Scorpio, which is Mars, is here. They are both here in the same house together, the perpetrator and the victim. They're both in Libra, this little sign right here. So I'm also going to read Libra. Libra could very well describe both the perpetrator and the victim. Libra gives a delicate, nice body, a round, fair, and well-favored face, hair flaxen or light brown, but sometimes black, a cheerful, well-spoken person, red lips, cherry cheeks, a tall, slender body, courteous, impartial, just, and upright in all their dealings. Lawyer or legal position, the person next door who people never assume will commit such crimes. Good-looking and outwardly kind, pleasant facial features and an oval face. Gives off the impression of straightforwardness, placid, classy, sympathy, and charm. If we look at the dignity of both of their rulers, we can get an idea of how they felt about each other. We can see that the perpetrator is probably in love with himself, and we can see the victim has a pretty high regard for the perpetrator. I would even go as far to say she has some love for the perpetrator. This is Rebecca's solar return chart. I also took a look at this, not only because it is her solar return chart, but also because some of the reports have her as last seen on her birthday, October 18th. And even though this is not the case, sometimes I find that things happen for a reason. And if it's there, I look at it because sometimes it gives additional clues. And in this, I'm wanting to say, here's the perpetrator and the victim again. They're still in the same house. But if you notice, the perpetrator still has Libra, the same symbol. But the victim has Virgo in this chart. And this was just a few days before she was last seen. This makes me believe that their relationship is probably tumultuous because Mars in this sign does not care too much for Venus. When we move a few days ahead, we can see that Mars is now in this new sign, and it means love. She has love for the perpetrator. And to me, this indicates that things were tumultuous. I want to add in here now the very first download that I ever received from Rebecca. Rebecca spoke to me through feelings, which some do, not very many. And right away, I knew she was showing me an intense type, domestic violence type relationship. I have been in these relationships before, and I know and understand the feelings, the intense feelings that you get, and that's what she was showing me. If you could imagine just the most frustration that anybody could cause you in your life over your lifetime, take all those together and put that in one person, and this is the frustration that they cause you. It's sometimes it's called crazy making. There's all kinds of things that perpetrators of domestic violence do, and it can lead to a very tumultuous relationship. When I look at Rebecca, She's over here, 15 degrees of Scorpio. A couple things that grab my attention are a couple fixed stars right here, Acrux and Zubin al-Janubi. Acrux is known for sacrifice. So I'm wondering if the person that she had this relationship with, whether it was past or current, was a relationship she continued in due to a sacrifice. She was sacrificing something for some reason to stay in this relationship. Whether it's children, money, there's lots of reasons that women stay in these kind of relationships. When I look at Zubin al-Janubi, that's right at 15 degrees, right where she's at, pretty much almost exact to the minute. There's 4 minutes here, 5 minutes here. Zubin al-Janubi is known for abuse, betrayal, revenge, and criminality. When we look at the perpetrator is 15 degrees of Taurus. Taurus is ruled by Venus, so we're going to look over here at this 11 degrees Venus. And I wanted to point out a fixed star, Vendometrix. I don't know if you pronounce it Vendometrix, but that's how it's spelled, Meatrix. And it is at 9 degrees right here close to this Venus. And what this star indicates is widowhood and folly. Now, as I discussed before, part of Rebecca's remains were found on the mother's property. And it makes me wonder, looking at this chart, if the perpetrator somehow felt loyal to the mom in some way for some reason. This is a little bit hard to talk about. Well, it's a lot hard to talk about. Virgo rules cats. Venus rules cats. And if any of you have ever had a cat, you know if they feel loyal to you, they will bring the things that they capture, and they will bring part of it, what's left, sometimes all of it, and leave it by your door or where you can find it. And I think that describes the perpetrator pretty well. There's another fixed star, Deianira, right here, that's co-present with both the victim and the perpetrator. Deianira is known for experiences of abuse. When we look at the fourth house is the end of the matter, but fourth house is also home and family. And here in the fourth house, we have an asteroid called Nessus. And Nessus is known for abuse, cultural traumas, ancestral wounds affecting the home. We also have Chiron here. Chiron is known for wounding. So whatever was going on in her home at one point, obviously on this chart, is speaking abuse here, here, and here. When we try to get an idea of what may have happened, we look at the flow of events. And to do that, we look at the moon. The moon is in the second house, which can indicate money or finances. And I'm going to connect Pluto here because Pluto and the moon are making a secret conjunction. It's something, they're antitias and contra-antitias. There's something that we use in Hellenistic astrology that doesn't actually have the lines pointing like these do. It's kind of a secret hidden connection. And because of this secret hidden connection, Pluto in the third house is communication. Pluto is destruction. Second house is finances. And this Pluto is making connections to this house up here. This is making me wonder if perhaps they didn't have some explosive communication regarding finances, money, something along that line. When we find the perpetrator in the 11th house, like we do, we sometimes wonder if maybe the perpetrator benefited somehow from the victim's death, maybe even financially or in other ways. Another thing that I wanted to bring attention to is the 4th house into the matter, family, home, has Neptune. It's at 11 degrees, and it is making a direct connection to the 11 degrees over here, and it is a helping connection. Neptune is drugs and alcohol. It may have helped push this situation further than it needed to go. It is making a direct contact with the perpetrator. I'm wondering if there weren't alcohol or drugs or some type of illusion used during the committing of this crime. I will not be able to make the mapping of this chart public because there are at least 3 houses that people currently live in that the chart points to. So this will be made, for now, is just made available to the family, to future detectives working on the case. I still have not decided whether I am going to give this to tribal law enforcement or not. Considering they're looking at this as a suicide right now, I'm thinking I may just wait until the BIA takes a hold of this case, because the BIA is a little bit more efficient. They respond to the cases, they pay attention to the cases, and they even actually return phone calls to tell you whether they want the case or don't. Tribal officials do not even return phone calls. I will describe some of the mapping without doing the mapping. One of the downloads that Rebecca had given me is an image of her 33rd birthday, which she was not there for, alive for. She was there. She was present in spirit. She showed me that. She let me know. She showed me a cake, a celebration. And this would have been in 2018. So I chose the asteroid 3318. 3318, if you follow it opposite over, it's at 2 degrees of Cancer. And that is where some of her remains were found. Now, when you look for an adult, it's a little bit harder to find an adult. A child age 6 and under, we can look to the moon, and it's usually always very accurate. When looking for adult remains, you have to use all the planets and you have to use your instincts. The outer diameter, what we use is we use these degrees. I used both the 15 degrees on this chart and the 11 degrees on her solar return chart for the outer diameter. Now, when I'm looking for the rest of her remains, what I decided to do was, there was an asteroid Rebecca and there was an asteroid Kate, and they were both right here next to each other in her first house. So I chose to go with Kate, actually, because you see the minutes here, 33 degrees. That's one of the things she was speaking at me with. If you go all the way across over here, this actually points to someone's home. That's one of the reasons why I cannot make this public. If you listen to the necrophonics, and she describes a house in the necrophonics, and there's a 3rd necrophonic that I did, she describes the house that we find over here. The moon, being in the 2nd house, is in a succedent house. So that is telling me that it is north northeast from where she was last seen. The moon being in a succeedent house also tells us that her remains are some way off, but not far. Possibly, in addition, Sagittarius does rule the moon. Sagittarius is known for high lands or grounds, upper rooms, or near the fire or radiator, stables, or hills. I would like to remind everyone to allow justice and remember that all possible suspects are innocent until proven guilty. I want to thank everyone for watching, and I would like to encourage everyone to please, please write your senators, speak up. If there's MMIP rallies, anything that you can do to help. A lot of these things don't take money. They just take your presence and they take your time. But we need to stand together. If we all stand together and we speak up together, something will be done. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like and follow, and stay tuned for more cases.